Hi everybody and welcome to Wild Ginger Running live broadcast. If you're listening to us on YouTube live, then do send us a comment, and if you're listening on the podcast later, then do put a comment in the description below in the comments area. It'd be great to hear from you. I have been listening to your feedback on Patreon, those who follow me on Patreon, and you wanted more normal people on the show. So forget these elite athletes. We've got a very normal person. Well, he says he's normal. We're going to ask him how normal he is in a minute.
Normal. Normal.
We've got Dave Leaming on the show. He is 50 years old, just turned, and he has been running for 4 years. So we're going to be asking Dave all about his running journey. But first of all, I just want to start, Dave, with in what way are you a normal person? How would you define that?
That's a bit difficult to explain, really. I mean, just an average guy who's decided to sort of start running and realising, it's just good to be out and about on the trails and enjoying them, to be honest, for no other reason than that. Not looking for success in, doing a good time at first, just thinking, God, I can actually run and cover the distance, and this is amazing. And as normal as you could be, really.
Yeah. Cool. And have you got family? What's your job?
Yeah, I work in Scarborough. Yeah, I work at McCain's of all places, which supplies all the potatoes. I work in the pilot plant, which is the design plant, so all the new products that go to market for McDonald's, everybody sort of work on them with the scientists. And it's a pretty cool job, really. Get quite a bit of time off now and again. And got my partner Kerry, and I've got my daughter Jessica as well.
Awesome.
So she's a bit older than me. She doesn't live with us. She's 25 now, so she's got her own career.
Yeah, not like young kids getting it under your feet or anything, but
and
still,
that's probably one of the reasons why I've ended up sort of running, really. Kids get older and you get a bit more time, and then, you sort of discover you've got a little bit of time, you need to do something with it, and that's one of the reasons I fell into running, really.
Yeah. Because you suddenly got a little bit of a time. Yeah, so I was going to ask you the next question. How did you get into running? Because it's only been 4 years.
Yeah, it's pretty late, really. I mean, I used to cycle and do a little bit of racing when I was younger. But racing against kids who are 18, 19, and you're sort of 46, and the crashes are pretty horrendous, really. It's an expensive sport. 3 or 4 grand on a bike and all the rest of it. It adds up, and I thought I just can't keep racing all the time. If you come off, you've got work and break a collarbone and all the rest of it. So I just basically did it for so many years, and I thought it's about time I just stopped. So I did my last sort of race in May when I was sort of 2018, and I just basically stopped. Didn't have any plans. I thought about maybe doing a bit of rowing. I had a rower, maybe rowing, but I wasn't really that bothered. And one of my mates just said, "Do you want to come for a run?" And I went, "No, not really. It's just not my thing. Just thought I'll get injured. I just didn't want to do it." Did 1K, then 2K, walked a bit, and then a week later he pestered me, and I did another 1K, maybe 2K, and I sort of got into it. And I thought, well, I need to do something. And I just sort of literally fell into it, just for filling gaps. It wasn't even something I even wanted to do. I just thought, well, I'm seeing my mate I used to race with, and a few of my mates, I might as well do something. That's how I ended up running, just because I was not bored, but just trying to get out and about, really.
Yeah, you just fell into it. And when you started,
completely.
Can you pinpoint that moment when you first started to enjoy the running? Was it like a light bulb moment that just went off, or did it kind of sneak up on you?
It took a while, because I was sort of running, and straight away I was thinking, I'm going to get injured. I'm just going to get injured. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. I never had a watch. I had a bike computer, and then I was using my phone. I just had none of the kit. It took me ages just to sort of gel with it, really. And then just as I was sort of getting into it, I was sort of getting injured. And basically after about 2-3 weeks, one of the lads I was working with said his partner couldn't do the York Marathon. Did you want an entry? And I was like, really? Not really, no. And then he said it's free. So being sort of northern and Yorkshire, I was like, yeah. I jumped at the chance. I thought, yeah, I'll do that. One of my mates was going to do it with me. He decided to jack it in after about 2 weeks of training, and I just sort of continued. And 8 weeks later, I'm stood on the start line by myself at the York Marathon, thinking, what the hell have I done?
Oh, wow. So you did that after 10 weeks of training, then?
Yeah.
Having previously just run a little bits and bobs.
I hadn't run anything. Maybe 10 years ago I did a little bit, but I've never really run anywhere, just biking. It didn't seem to go together. But 10 weeks training, I was stood on the start line at York Marathon thinking, yeah, this is really happening. Yeah.
And how was it? Like, well, you presumably finished the marathon?
I did all right, really. I've done sort of endurance sports before, like cycling, and I'm sort of fairly used to sort of pushing myself. But I just sort of set off, and I always knew just set off steady. And there's sort of crowds there. I'm thinking I don't really need the crowds out 3 miles. I need them about 20 miles when I'm really sort of fatiguing. I think I put 2 gels in my pocket and just hope for the best, grabbed some jelly babies as I went round. And, you know, you hear the horror stories of it in sort of 19, 20 miles. And I just saw people in cramp and just really in a bad way. And I just kept going and going. And eventually sort of crossed the line. I was sort of fairly emotional, thinking, how the hell have I done that? And, yeah, I didn't do a sort of bad time, really. I think it was under 4 hours. So
wow.
3:40, 3:42, something like that. But I was in a bad way. Shin splints, legs were just in bits. Trainers were too small, just like toenails falling off. Just couldn't get my trousers on. Yeah, it was just horrendous, really. I just didn't have a clue what I was doing. Yeah, it was bad.
But fast forward to today, and you've sent me a big long list of all the stuff that you've done. So you've done like tons of running now.
4 years, yeah, a little bit of a list.
Well, it's loads. You've done loads of the Hardmoors. You like it up north. So you've done Hardmoors 60, Hardmoors 110, then Hardmoors 55 just this March. Yeah. So yeah, you went from not really enjoying running to all of a sudden running 100 miles. I mean, what have the highs and lows been along the way? You said you made quite a lot of mistakes at the beginning. You said you had some howlers.
Horrendous mistakes. Just didn't have a clue about nutrition. I just didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. In fact, listening to sort of your podcast and a few of the podcasts, you just get to know what's the right thing to do. But my biggest problem was I was getting shin splints. I couldn't work out what. Well, obviously you get shin splints from not maybe doing too much mileage too quick. But I thought I'm starting to enjoy this, and I started to run a lot more off trail on the cliffs. And it was the only time I could run when I wasn't really getting injured. And as soon as I ran the road, I was starting to get injured just from that same impact on tarmac and concrete. I thought, well, it was sort of winter time, just after sort of October, November, but I needed to get the miles in, and I was like head torch on the cliffs by myself. I thought, this is just crazy. So I went to see a podiatrist, and I got some insoles made. And as soon as I got the insole, I just went to see him, and he just said, your arches, you need to build them up. Made me some insoles, and from literally about 2-3 weeks after getting the insoles, I went from shin splints to having no issues whatsoever, really.
Wow, oh, that's brilliant.
And he just basically showed me my trainers and said, just look at your trainers, because I used to land really heavy on the inside of my trainer. Mm-hmm. So I tried trainers that were built up, like motion control, and they was worse. So basically I went for a neutral trainer with a built up insole, and it was like night and day. I just went from struggling to thinking I can actually run, because I quite liked it, and I thought, well, because I've found something to solve the problem, I just thought, well, I'll just keep going and just find my limit. And that's basically how I ended up doing all these events.
Wow, that's brilliant. And so what did your training look like back then when you were first starting out? Like, how many times did you run a week? How far was it? I'd
never run the next day because I just struggled so much, just with shin split knees and just hips. So I'd maybe run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that was about it, really. I thought, I just need to get this mileage up, and then listening to, like, say, podcasts from yourself, I realised obviously core and strength training, and I didn't really know what that was. I was just going to
say, did you do any strength training as well as the running?
Yeah, because I was getting up to about 14 miles, and my ligaments on my knee was out, my hip was out, and I was like, what's going on here? So I thought, right, let's try some core strength training, and I sort of managed to sort of run beyond that. And then we always do like an annual run. Well, I say annual, I've only been running a few years, but from Whitby to Scarborough, it's like 18, 19 miles. It's about 3,000 foot climb. It's quite tough. And we started doing that, and I didn't have any real effects. I thought, well, that core and strength training must be working. So then one thing led to another, and one of my friends who was in the parachute regiment said, do you fancy doing the Para 10, which I had no idea what that was. And he just said, this is the training we do for it. Do you fancy it? And I went, well, I'll give it a go. So basically, I entered it, and then in the September of the next year, I was on the start line for the Para 10 against the parachute regiment sort of selection course.
Wow.
With I think it's like £35, and my mate was supposed to do it with me, and the day was supposed to go, I was at a wedding. So I turned the 600 people there. I didn't know a single person, and I stood there with a 35-pound backpack, boots and trousers, thinking, what am I doing? I was pretty intimidated, to be fair.
It does sound really scary, because like some of those guys are really used to running with such weights and things, aren't they? That's a really heavy pack. It's like the weight of a small child on your back.
But I sort of put it on, and it didn't make much difference in my times. It sounded proper weird, but so I used that as my strength training. It seemed to help my knees and my ligaments. Did the event and did quite a good time. It was like, I think to get into the Paris, like 150. And I think I got in like 131, which is pretty.
Wow, really? So you could have been in the Paras. Change of career.
I don't think anyone wants me at 46.
McCain's to Paras.
Yes. So I did that. Did a good time, and then carrying weight, which is carried on to today. And I've sort of used like a weight vest with one of my friends who's just come out of the Paras, and so we do a lot of sort of steps with maybe 10 kilos, just to strengthen the legs and the knees. And,
do you walk up with the 10 kilos on your back, or do you run?
Yeah, it's up steps. It's like 300 steps. It's tried, but it's a bit much, really.
Where's the 300 steps?
Yeah, we do that like maybe 4 or 5 times. It's like
okay. You're not going up like to Whitby Abbey, like up the
but we're a bit short on that. But it's just to build sort of strength again, because things I've sort of learnt, over the last few years. I think core strength and stability and single leg stuff's almost as important as the running and nutrition, really.
Yeah.
So basically, I did that. I did quite good. I was pretty pleased, and I just thought, I'm just going to enter the Hardmoors 60, and I just entered it. One of my friends entered it as well, who I knew from cycling, who's a good runner. He'd never done anything like it. Both entered it, got there on the day, had loads of ideas about my drop bag, and had like a quiche in it and crisps and just loads of stuff.
Love a quiche.
Yeah, I said that until it was in the bottom of my backpack, and it just a week later just squashed. And
or mush.
Yeah, so I did the Hardmoors 60. It's a pretty tough event. It's 4,000 metres of climbing. It's not easy.
Yeah.
About 10 miles, the wheels fell off.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the wheels fell off. I just went too hard, basically. It was a really warm day. It was sort of 22, 23 degrees. And it started cramping up at about 15 miles.
Yeah.
And then someone, obviously I'd done all the other bits like the core strength, mileage, and someone mentioned salt tablets, and I didn't have a clue what he was telling me or what he was talking about. So I took some salt tablets, and then sort of cramps started to go about 30 miles. So
wow! So you pushed on with that cramp for like 20 miles.
I basically got over a gate, just climbed over a gate, and my legs just cramped. There was people there. I couldn't walk. I was just stood there. Legs were just in bits. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't move. I just it was
that's such a horrible feeling, isn't it?
And my friend had the same experience, but he had it at 20 miles, 25 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But because I spoke to someone and gave me some salt tablets, I started to recover at 30. I started running again, but he was pretty much smashed till about, from 35, 40 miles to the end. So I sort of started catching him up.
Yeah.
So I pushed on, and I thought, it's not my fitness, it's just electrolytes and not taking enough on board. So I finished it in sort of, I think it's like 14, 15 hours, which was sort of quite far down, to be honest. But it was a lot of climbing. Got to the end, and then I struggled walking, weighed myself. I'd lost 11 pounds, and
oh my goodness,
it's pretty, and that's just down to nutrition and and hydration. So I learned so much on that, and I realised most of it was down to electrolytes, really.
Yeah. Isn't it so interesting that like you ask people about the training, and you're like, oh yes, how many miles did you run a week? How often do you run a week? But actually, you can be as fit as you like, but if you don't pay attention to the nutrition and the core
100%.
and your gear, then you're just out of the game.
Almost the running is like I wouldn't say low on the list, because I've got a bit of endurance, but the other things are a bit higher on the list now. So I listened to one of the podcasts from Precision Hydration.
Oh yeah, they do the different levels of electrolyte, like depending on your salt, your saltiness.
They sent me a sample pack of what they thought my sort of sweat pattern. It was heavy because every time I'd have salt down my face, it was covered in white. Mm-hmm. So basically, I used that, and then I thought, right, well, I'm not really happy with that. So I entered the 110, which is a bit crazy when you've just had such a bad experience.
What was the time gap between the 60 and the 110?
There was sort of COVID at the end. It was like 2019, and I think I'd entered it for 2020, but it got called off.
Oh, okay.
And then it was 2021. In fact, it's a week this Saturday.
A year ago. So you had the whole of COVID to train. Like, did your training?
Were you working and
Were you really glad that you had found running before COVID hit? Then did that really help you get through that whole period?
So I was not. Yes, not really. That sounds a bit weird, but I sort of had other things going on, just at work, and I was sort of working through it. But it was quite nice just to get out. But so everybody else was out. I suppose it was getting quite busy. And then I noticed people were thinking marathons, and everyone was jumping onto trail running races because Hardmoors were running it in sort of 6 people at a time, and so you could set off. So everything was getting full. So a lot of the races was full. But so my entry for the 60, which I'd already sort of paid for, and that didn't happen in 2020. So I contacted John at Hardmoors, and I don't think he quite read my email properly. And it said, "Well, I'm 50 in 2022, which would have been now. Can I transfer it and use the place then?" He then sent me a message in a SI entry, said, "Yeah, I've entered you for 21," and this was March, and I was thinking, it's like 8 weeks away. So I had 8 weeks to get ready for the 110.
Oh my goodness! But you were still running consistently.
I was running. I was doing all the things I was supposed to do. I was doing all the core, strength, stability, still running, and I was doing back-to-back runs. So I was sort of ready, and I didn't have to then panic thinking, I've got no injuries. So the next thing, I'm stood on the start line of the 110.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so just to wind back a teeny bit, so for the 110, what would your ideal training plan have looked like then? Like Monday, what would you do? Tuesday, what would you do?
Starting on a Monday, it's probably Monday's a recovery run, to be honest. I'll probably do like 5 miles recovery. Proper recovery, because the biggest thing I learned was recovery is recovery, and it's not in the middle. So I was trying to go really easy or really hard or long. Not middle. So I sort of learned that pretty early on, that if you're going to go, you could do intervals, but if you're going to do a recovery, don't sort of do an 8.5 minute mile or 8 minute mile and say you've done a recovery, because you've just got to be ready for the next session. I was trying to do that.
Yeah, that's good advice, isn't it? All the top coaches, they say 80% at a really easy pace, 20% balls out. So it's good that you got that nailed early on. So then what would you do on a Tuesday?
Tuesday I'd probably try and do some sort of core stability stuff. But I realised at first, going back to my core, one of my friends from the rowing club, he took me down to the gym and was doing some sort of lunges. He said, we'll start with 30 kilos. I did it. I couldn't even get up. This is when we first started. So then he took the weight off. Then he started the lunge with no weight, and even then I struggled. I thought, this is horrendous. I didn't realise how weak I was, in my legs.
Well, even if you do all these exercises with no weight at all, I think it's beneficial. It's better than not doing it at all. And then when you feel like you've got them nailed, just put your weighted pack on, or your running pack on. I reckon you don't even have to use weights.
Even without weights, I was struggling. That's how bad I was. So he just started laughing at me. He just couldn't believe how bad I was. But then eventually,
it's not bad. It's just lack of practice. Potential.
So then Tuesday's like core stability. Then Wednesday was intervals. So we'd maybe do 1K on, 1K off. And then Thursday I'd probably have a day off. Friday I'd probably do maybe a sort of 8 to 10 miles steady, getting ready for Saturday. And then Saturday and Sunday was a back-to-back run, which I basically started. So at the end of all the training, 2 weeks before, I'd end up doing like a 60-mile week. So the Saturday would be a full marathon, and the next one would be a half marathon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'd probably start at 25 miles, and then I'd do 3 weeks on, and then I'd take the fourth week, and I'd drop the intensity, maybe the back-to-backs, maybe do a park run, and drop the mileage by 20 miles. And then have an easy week, and you can sort of do things with your family and just have a normal life. And then the week after, I do a block of 3 again. But every week I'd increase by 10%.
Yeah. Wow. You did it all really how I come on here and I tell people the right way to do stuff. You did it all like that. That's amazing.
Sort of, I did listen. I have listened to this podcast and how people do it. And that 3 weeks on and then 1 week off, it's good for sort of motivation and get back on it. Because you can see your family, you're not as grumpy, and you get your sleep. And then the week after, I wouldn't start higher than the last run, which was 2 weeks ago. I sort of start in the middle. So if I've done like a 20-mile run, I'd start maybe the week after the rest. I'd do like an 18 and then do a 9 or a 10. And then just build up. I sort of did it so eventually I'd get to the week where it'd be a 60-mile week and then 2 weeks steady and then the event.
Yeah.
And that's basically I'll do the next sort of event, really.
Yeah. And so did you write yourself an actual training plan for that? Like going back from the event, like tracking back?
Sort of. I just wrote
Did you write it down?
I just wrote just a bit of paper, really. Bit of paper and I had an idea, and also planning when you're doing things with family, like 4 weeks we can go away, do whatever. I mean, we're still going away. It's just you can obviously go to the pub, a few beers, and just sort of do everything you need to do, really, or meal out and rest of it. But as in food, it didn't really matter what I ate anymore because the weight was just disappearing off me, really.
Yeah, dropping off.
Yeah, definitely. So. And it was good.
It sounds like you were quite consistent in your training and quite kind of dedicated, and like you were like, right, I've written it on this bit of paper, so I'm going to do it now. So do you find you're sort of intrinsically quite a motivated person, or did you have to kind of crack the whip a few times? How did you stay motivated?
Fear. It's fear of doing 110 miles.
I thought you said beer.
No, not beer.
Like,
not beer.
Beer.
No, not beer. No, it was just fear of doing 110 miles, not being ready. Because I've just seen what happened in the 60. This is, it's getting on for, a hell of a lot more miles. A lot can go wrong. So I was just like, I need to get on this and tick all the boxes because, one, it's they're not cheap and put a lot of time into it. You need to sort of get it done properly and just sort of listening to other people. And I just did it really basic. I just sort of just kept increasing the load by 10% and having just an easy week.
Yeah.
Simple as that, really.
Yeah, it is quite simple, isn't it? People try and overcomplicate it, but so you found yourself on the start line of the Hardmoors 110, and so how did it go?
It went really well. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh,
it
great.
Went really well.
I thought it might have been a horror story from how you were looking there.
I had no cramp. I had no issues. I had. I weighed myself after I'd lost 4 pounds, and it was like 24 degrees.
Oh, wow.
It was really hot, so I was in the sun from 7, race started at 8, and I finished the next day at 6 o'clock, so I've been in the sun for like 2 days.
Wow.
I had no cramp issues, no. The only problem when I got to Saltburn, which is 60, halfway point, I had a crew, which was sort of helping me, which is the same crew I'm sort of helping next week at the 110s, like there's 4 of us including me. So luckily one of us never gets in, which just by chance, and they help out, which is just happened. So I met them at Saltburn. They had some pasta in a Tupperware dish, but I had too much, and straight away I just had that dreaded sort of stomach problem.
Oh no!
So I had that from 8 o'clock till maybe 3 in the morning, just having that feeling of I just feel sick, but I had to keep eating and drinking, even though I felt sick. It's not a nice feeling, but it happened to a lot of people, I think. Know the feeling. It's not nice, is it? But it's awful.
You just got to keep the fuel going in, haven't you? Otherwise it'll be even worse. But did your legs hurt at all, or did you because 100 miles is a long way and it's a lot of ascent?
Legs were fine. Everything was fine, but my feet
really?
started to hurt. Bottom of my feet, it was just
the bottom of the feet pressure.
Yeah, because when you start looking at the times, you're thinking, I've got even like 10 miles is in time, or 20 miles in time. I think that's like 4 hours, 5 hours. So I set a time of each mile, but when the terrain gets tough, I think there's 7,000 metres of climbing. You just can't go fast when it's that steep.
Yeah, it's a long old way, isn't it? And the terrain underfoot is not exactly a walk in the park either, is it? Yeah,
I did all the things you shouldn't do, like I used poles after sort of 70 miles, never used them in my life, which is completely stupid, but it was all right. I think you'd said try and practice with them, but I never did. I just used them. But they was really good, to be honest.
Which poles did you use? Can you remember?
I can't remember what they are. Just a carbon sort of adjustable one, because I'm a little bit taller. I was looking at like 120s. So I was thinking about doing sort of fast packing, and they're all come at 120s. So I had to get some adjustable ones, so I can then, if I do any fast packing, I can maybe put them in my tent, because they always take a standard size. and I need 130s, which that's not standard. They won't fit any of these tents where you need the poles. So
that's annoying, isn't it? You'd think they'd have like a little hook on them somewhere so that you can still do your bivvy thing.
It was pretty tough with the 110. Just a couple of little issues, but just to get to the end was just unbelievable. Just the heat. Half the field didn't even finish. I think there was 180, 190 started and 83 finished. It was pretty. I remember how hot it was, and I remember speaking to someone that and they had no electrolytes, no salt. And I was thinking, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to be in trouble, and there was. There's some really fit people. Just once the cramp set in, and there was probably over drinking and not having enough electrolytes. I was using just tailwind and precision hydration. It was absolutely fine. Apart from the stomach problem.
Yeah. And what else did you eat apart from the pasta, obviously?
I sort of went with gels and then got a quick tick of them, and then somehow just ended up eating candlewood cake, which sounds the worst thing you could ever have. I did it on the 55, and I quite like it, really.
Yeah, was it quite refreshing? You like the minty taste, nice. A little bit of... did it have the chocolate on the outside, or did you just go for the pure slab of sugary mint?
It seemed to work. Everyone's got to find their own food. I was thinking, before I've Jaffa cakes, tried this, and it just start melting. It just don't work. I've tried saurine. I was thinking, that's great. And you can't eat it. You just like almost spitting it out.
Yeah, you haven't got enough saliva after about 60 miles, have you?
Yeah, it's pretty horrendous, really. Yeah. So got to the end, and I could still walk the next day, which I couldn't on the 60. I was struggling to get downstairs. And that's,
So you were conditioned.
I think so, yeah. I was pretty happy at the end. I was pretty tired, but I had a bit of sunstroke as well, which wasn't good. Lips swelled up, and middle of the night on the run, I said to one of my friends who was crewing, I was like, "Why has everyone got a jacket on?" He said, "Well, it's 2 degrees," and I had a t-shirt on, and I was just I was really suffering, and then I went from that to absolutely going from red hot to being frozen almost. So I had like 2 pairs of gloves on, hats on, 2 jackets on, and it took me like another 4 hours till the sun come to get warm again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it just shows, doesn't it? The logistics of everything is just as important as the fitness level that you get to. So all of the training, presumably on your long runs in the training, you were trying out all the different foods and your different gear. Trying. Like what have you got a particular item of kit that proved really essential? Like what shoes did you wear?
Well, I've been running sort of Brooks Cascadias. I just stumbled across them, and the sort of do-it-all trainer that they're just like sort of Mondeo trainers. There's no frills, but they're just good. Yeah. I use them sort of 90% of the time, and I had to sort of rotating a couple of pairs, and when they sort of wore down a little bit, I ended up running them in the summer, and then using the other pair in the winter. I've sort of tried Innovate, which mud claws, but because I sort of go over quite hard on my heel, and I've got my arch support, if they're too soft, and then if it's muddy, my heel then drops a little bit, then pulls on my tendons because I'm sort of over accentuating with the softness. So I've ended up just basically running everywhere in the same pair of trainers. I've got a few different pairs of rotate. I've just got them, and I've just got a pair of road trainers which are rotate, and that's all I've got, really.
Yeah, if you find one that fits, you may as well just buy like 5 pairs, because they're always changing them as well, aren't they? I know that the Brooks Cascadia 16 is the latest one, and I'm testing that at the moment, and I've seen lots of reviews online, and people they either love it or they hate it because they changed it again, and people are like, I love the 15s, why did you change them?
Well, this is the dilemma I've got now. I bought some 15s, and I'm not getting on with them, but I love the 14s, but obviously the 14s, and I've got an event soon, in another month, but my 14s are falling to bits, and I've got 2 pairs, and I'm a bit...
Can you find another pair of 14s, like on eBay or somewhere?
Well, I have bought some of all the places. I got some from America, because it was cheaper to get them from America and sent over, and there was like brand new pair. It was like in dollars. It was like $45, including delivery.
Wow! Oh my god!
You have to remember the size difference. Obviously, they're on like a 9.5, so you have to obviously buy a 10.5. So I bought a few, but then I got these 15s and did the same. But I'm just not getting on with them, and now I'm worried that I ain't got a pair of trainers.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm sort of looking after them, thinking, oh, they're at fault.
Sort of gaffer taping them round. Well, if anybody's got a pair of Brooks Cascadia 14s, then let Dave know.
9.5,
9.5. Yeah.
desperate really, because the last one's the front sort of split, and for the 55 I did in March, I did some back together a little bit because I didn't have enough time to get some more trainers.
Yeah.
I've got 15s which I just on my knee. I don't know. I used them on Monday and I just didn't quite get on with them. But I do think they're a good pair of trainers, to be fair. The best I've used, anyhow.
Yeah.
But they're not for everyone.
Well, yeah, you've got to find your own. Like the fit is so important, isn't it?
100%.
And I wanted to also ask you about your Stryd power meter that you've been using. Did you use that? Did you use it on the 110, or was it this new for the 55?
I got it in the middle of March this year.
Okay, so you used it on the 55, on the Hardmoors 55.
Yeah, I used power meters before on cycling, sort of road bike racing. And I sort of knew, obviously the benefits. Yeah.
Can you just tell, for anybody who doesn't know what a Stryd power meter is, could you just explain like what it is and where it goes?
Yeah, it basically goes on the front of your shoe, and it measures. I think it's got accelerometers on it, and it measures how. It's a bit like some of the Garmin what you're talking to in the last podcast. It tells you the stride length, and it also tells you the height and also your cadence. But this one has. Also measures if you're climbing, so it adjusts the power. Because obviously, if you're running on flat ground into a headwind, it's harder work than if it's behind you, and it measures the wind, so it tells you to back off. Plus, if you're going uphill, it tells you it adjusts the power of these accelerometers to give basically a number. Just say it's like 250, and that's in what power you're actually putting to move forward. Which sounds really, really boring, but I haven't used pace for about a month. I've not looked at pace. You don't need to look at pace, so you don't get stressed if you're going uphill or you're on the flat.
You're going slow.
This number. You don't have to worry about, why do I feel like I do? The number tells you you're feeling tired or you're feeling a bit out of breath because you're running into headwind, or you're going uphill, or you're just trying way too hard.
So in theory, you should keep your power output at roughly the same level throughout. So rather than going, oh my god, I've slowed to like 14-minute miles up this hill, you're still putting in effort, so that number's still the same. So you still feel good about everything, and also presumably it shows you if you're kind of overworking yourself at certain points in the race. So that helped you, did it? Yeah,
you've got to do like a training test. It gives you a base, like a 20-minute or a 50-minute power reading, what it thinks you can do. Basically, I used it on the very lowest, which gives it, it's a bit like a heart rate monitor. It tells you like threshold and all the rest of it. But I basically went to the very lowest, which was recovery, and that's the pace I used, which was really low, and basically about 220 watts. But as soon as it went over that, I walked.
So it's a little bit like heart rate, I suppose, isn't it? Like going at training at a certain heart rate.
The main reason I got it is because heart rate just takes too long to respond.
Does it? Really?
So it takes 10, 15, 20 seconds or a minute, and you've already sort of started to blow before. Well, that's instant. It's sort of within 10 seconds, or less than that, 5 seconds, it's telling you. It's just heart rate. It's not really accurate enough for that.
Is it accurate enough on the chest strap, or is it just because we're all wearing these watches now with the sort of the flashing green light?
Yeah, I don't think they're that really accurate, the ones on your wrist. But even one on your chest, it takes 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds. It's like if you're doing an interval, by the time you've finished, your heart rate's still rising. Well, that will tell you instantly.
Yeah.
But it really helped me. I mean, most people have never used one on an ultra, because if you use one on an ultra, it's wet, it'll destroy it because there's a little hole in the front. It just so happened that one day, it was bright sunshine on the 55. I thought I'll use that, and I got all the data and worked out exactly what pace. And,
does it have to be on your shoe? Could it not be like clipped here? Like
some of the others at Coros do one that clips on your back, and Garmin do one on the chest strap.
And does it go onto your watch? Is that where the number appears? Yeah.
Just gives a number.
I'm thinking of getting one.
I was blown away how good it was. It just stops you putting yourself under pressure when you're doing a recovery run or uphill or into a headwind. It was good. Biggest thing I noticed though was the power was. I set off in the first 10. I just wanted to set off in the front just so I'm not moving through people. It's like 300 people. Within about a mile, I was maybe in the last 50. Because I was thinking there's no way people can keep running at this pace. It was just too hard.
Yeah.
So I did 5 hours at a sort of steady pace, which sounds ridiculous. And then at 5 hours, I sort of moved forward, and you could then push on with a pace without blowing, and one by one you sort of pick people off.
Yeah.
You've just got to have confidence in it. It's like negative splits.
Yeah.
Everyone just set. I mean, even on a park run, you just using it. I realised I was going way too hard. Hard. So instead of setting off too fast, I was setting off slower and then building, and then doing slightly quicker than I would have done if I'd have gone too fast. Really.
Yeah.
Really, I thought it was really useful, but for ultra running, it's not really a good tool if it's raining, puddles, going through rivers.
Yeah.
You might destroy it.
Yeah, or you have to get one that goes on your back or on your shoulder or something.
That'd be pretty cool. But then you've got it clips on the bottom of your shorts, so then if you're carrying a hydration vest, it might just get in the way.
I know of a patron, Peter. He came to my running club a couple of times, and his clipped on the back of his neck there. He had a little running pack, and it just clipped on the back of his running pack. But I don't know how that would do the wind, like the wind coming towards you.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But I was really pleased with it. Yeah, it's just you know yourself when you're sort of running and you beat yourself up thinking, you just forget you're going uphill, or you've got a headwind, and it was just one less thing to think about. So it worked out really well for me. I was really pleased.
Cool. Oh, that's great. And so you had a good time on the 55 for that reason.
Yeah. I felt strong at the end, which I've not done before. It was the first one I've done where I was like pushing on, going quite hard for the last sort of 10 miles instead of just falling to bits. Yeah.
That's cool. So you can now call yourself an ultra runner.
Sort of.
Definitely. And so you've got some quite exciting things in the pipeline, haven't you? You've got Endure 24 coming up, and how's the preparation going for that?
Not that well, really. I've got cold at the moment, so I'm coughing, and so I missed tonight, which is a good thing. I was supposed to do a little bit of training, and it was a birthday a couple of weeks back, so I've been out a little bit, and I've completely missed. Yeah, it's just part of life, isn't it? So too much drinking and celebrating.
Well, I don't think you'll look back and wonder which one you should have done when you're 100 years old. But are you? What are you planning to achieve at Endure 24? Are you going solo, or have you got a team?
Yeah, going solo. Yeah. Going solo. Just me. I've sort of done stuff like that before. I'm sort of mountain biking, and it sounds really bad, but sort of teams, you've got no one to let you down. And I've done a couple of teams, and people just don't get out of bed, and I was like, well, I'll just do it myself. So I'm hoping to do 100 miles if I can.
Wow, amazing.
Just start off really slow. Start off really steady. And I'm thinking, you've got a bag side of the track. And the big worst thing is you're just going to stop and think, because you can stop. So I'll just go really, really steady.
And how big is the loop that you go around?
It's like 4.95 miles. So.
Okay, so that's going to be a bit like Groundhog Day by the time you've done 100 miles, 20 of those.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite hard.
So if I'm doing it like, an hour, see what happens, just do it like 55 minutes, see which is steady away. Just keep going and going and going, and then it'll sort of biting sort of 8 hours, 12 hours, and then through the night. So I'm thinking the first 8 hours will just be, it will be steady away, and then the real race will start when start getting tired, thinking what we're doing. This is one of them, really.
Will you have like a podcast or something to listen to at that point? How will you keep yourself going?
I've never listened to headphones or music when running.
Yeah.
Especially around Scarborough on the cliffs, it's amazing. You don't really need music. You're on the trails, so not really. Just sort of go with the flow and just enjoy what's around you, really.
Yeah. And that sounds really, really virtuous, not to have to listen to any music.
No, I don't bother.
Well, it's less to go wrong, isn't it?
Yeah,
less to sap battery power from your phone and your watch and your everything. And then you said you've got quite an exciting coast-to-coast challenge. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I looked at the Wainwrights room and I was just thinking... I might sound really tighty, but some of them are really expensive. I looked at like Spine Race and things. I think it's like £1,100.
Yeah, and the Northern Traverse and stuff like that.
I looked at the Northern Traverse, which I didn't even know existed till last week. And I looked at that and I thought, why don't I just do it myself? So I basically just put some kit together, and I was thinking like sort of fast packing and just sort of bivvy or take a one-man tent, just do it myself.
Cool. Are you going to take photos or a video along the way or anything?
No, probably not.
Love it.
Not really.
Low profile.
not really. I had an Instagram account a few years ago, but I lost the login. I haven't really bothered. So no, just to say I can complete it, because it goes from obviously the west coast to Robiners Bay, and then down the coast to Scarborough. I think it's 200 miles. So I was just thinking of getting a lift or getting the train, and then taking your kit and then seeing what happens, really.
Cool. So have you got a plan for how many days you'd do it in?
I'm thinking 4, but that's optimistic.
4 days. That is quite a lot, isn't it? 50 miles a day. But
50 miles a day.
But why not? Give it a go. You could always start off doing that and then break it down.
That's what I'm thinking.
Give yourself a week off and see what happens.
Yeah. I feel really bad saying some of the races are expensive, but they are. You think,
they are expensive. Yeah. But I organise a race myself now, and now I understand why races are that expensive, because nowadays it's not like you can just like send people up a mountain. You've got to do so much work, risk assessments, insurance, like you've got to have a medic on call and all like specially trained people that you have to pay, and portaloos to hire, and big tents to put up and hire, and there's just so much goes on. Having seen the prices of those races and the number of people that enter, I actually don't know how they make any profit from them. It's balmy.
I'm going for the route of just bought some fast backing kit and on a bit of a budget, see what happens.
Sounds brilliant. That's the way I like to do stuff as well. I love races as well, but when it's a long adventure like that, it's really cool to choose your own thing and go for it on your own and rope in a few people for a couple of days and things like that.
I've had some of my friends, in fact one of the lads I'm helping on the 110 who helped me, and last year he's quite laid back, and he was helping me on the 110, and he basically set up on the Friday from Friday with a tent and a rucksack and decided just to run up the Cleveland Way and camp, and he just said, whenever you catch me up, I'll give you some help. And I caught him up with his help, and then he sort of ran it from here, and I'm basically going to do the same as what he did next Friday and help him out, and then one of the other lads is going to crew, so I'm just going to sort of get some more kit tested out and just see how it goes, really, and help him out. So, see what works and what doesn't work, really, and what kit I haven't packed, and see what goes wrong.
Yeah. Oh, well, it sounds like a really exciting summer for you, Dave. And it's been brilliant chatting to you tonight. I've just got one last question for you before we go. So having done this for 4 years now, and people will be listening to this who are way less experienced than you, if you could have just known one thing earlier about long distance trail running and ultra running, what would it be?
It's not all about the running. There's more important things. It's probably a few things. It's core stability, hydration, looking after what you eat on the run. But if you can do a marathon, you can probably do a 60 or even 100. If you get your hydration, electrolytes right, and you've done core and stability, it's probably better to sack a day off running and do stability and core and strength exercises than it is to maybe do a half-hearted run. I think that's probably more beneficial, to be honest. Yeah,
that's very wise words. You sound like you could run your own podcast and YouTube channel. You know all the stuff.
It's the first time I've done a podcast. It's the first time I've been on Skype. So
you do very well.
Or anything. So I don't know about that.
Your picture quality is better than mine. I need to get mine sorted. Probably just need to wipe the screen.
So just see what happens this year, and hopefully next Saturday I'll go all right for my friend Fred Smith, who's doing it. Proper Scarborough name.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck to you both.
Definitely.
So we can't follow you on Instagram because you forgot your login, but if anyone wants to kind of catch up with your activities, do you post anywhere, blog, Strava? Okay.
Strava, just Dave Leaming, it's a picture of me on a bike from my previous life, and that's about it, really.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, well, guys, if you want to follow Dave, then you can do so on Strava. I said that I was going to read some people's things out, wasn't I? I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. I was listening to the chat. So Andrea's here. She says hi. I'll just read a couple out. Antonio Cardinelli says hello, Dave and Claire. Mike Cordiner says hats off to you, mate, well done. And Mad Paul says hi, it's nice to hear about your experiences. So just to read a few.
Thanks, Mad Paul.
I haven't got time to read all of them out, but thank you everybody who wrote a comment in, and thanks everybody for watching live as well.
No problem.
And thanks to you, Dave. It has been really fun to chat to you, and best of luck for all of your upcoming endeavours.
I don't think my cold will go by next week, and I feel like I'm on it, because I'm in that sort of a little bit worried already about just helping out, because you just feel like your fitness has gone everyone has them same worries. You know, thinking, have I done enough? You know, I'm feeling terrible and all the rest of it. But I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be all right on the night.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, good luck. It's been fantastic talking to you, and
No problem.
we'll have to all follow you on Strava now. You'll get 100 more followers now. Cool. Night, everyone. It's been super interesting. Bye.
Bye.